Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Gradcracker webinar. If you joined us on Monday, you will know about how many opportunities we've currently got advertised on Gradcracker. So nearly 8,000 placements and 10,000 graduate roles. Now, to put that into perspective, the customer relations team here at Gradcracker are adding on average 100 jobs every day. Just blows our mind, that doesn't it, Jess? So as we all know, one role could accept multiple candidates. So don't miss out. After this webinar, go and see what you can apply to and make sure you get your applications in today. So back to INEOS, we're delighted by joining you, you joining us again today. So INEOS has been working with Gradcracker for over 10 years, and today we're going to be hearing from a range of graduates about their experiences with the company so far, as well as hearing from Caroline in the HR team about their recruitment processes, who they are as a company, and some of their key initiatives. So thank you, Caroline, for joining us today. Cannot believe it's been a year. That's gone quickly.
Time flies, and time flies at INEOS as well.
Exactly, when you're having fun.
Exactly.
So right now, INEOS is recruiting for their commercial and engineering graduate schemes on their company hub on Gradcracker. You can get a fantastic insight into their roles and their business, so make sure you head over there after the webinars to apply, follow, and find out even more information about them. So let's firstly meet Caroline. Caroline, introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit more about your role at INEOS.
Yeah, lovely, Carla. Thank you. So my name's Caroline. Good afternoon, everybody. So my role within INEOS, with my team, we recruit graduates onto both the commercial and the engineering programme. And I know we'll come into the differences between the two programmes a bit later. So that's what I do. I've been with INEOS for 5 years, wear some other hats on top of graduate recruitment. And I think you'll get a flavour for how you don't necessarily just have one job at INEOS. So yeah, that's me, Carla.
Yeah, perfect. And tell the audience about what INEOS does.
It's a very good question. It's always quite a difficult one to answer. I would say there's no other company like INEOS around. So in terms of, stats, so we're made up of 36 individual businesses across 29 countries. We've got 194 sites. If I had to describe INEOS in a very short sentence, so at the heart of what we do, we are a manufacturing company. The biggest company a lot of people hadn't heard of until quite recently. So we will be, from when you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed at night, our products essentially you will touch, whether it's toothpaste, whether it's clothing, healthcare solutions. A lot of your products have an INEOS touch somewhere. Yeah. But I would say over even the last year since we were last in the webinar, Carla, the INEOS's name is much more out there, whether it's our Bell fashion brand. We've got the INEOS Grenadier, the car, the automotive business, or the INEOS Hygienics business. And then also we've got a real interest in sport as well. So you'll see our name, whether it's on the INEOS Grenadier cycling team. We own a third share of the Mercedes Formula One team as well. So it's quite difficult to describe what we do, but made up of lots of different companies, but the heart and soul of it is manufacturing.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Caroline. And the different business areas that you've just mentioned, can graduates join each of those areas, or do they get experience in each of those areas as part of the graduate schemes?
Yeah, so we focus, the core of INEOS is essentially petrochemicals. That's the core business. That's where we recruit our commercial graduates into, and our engineering graduates as well. We have started to take and move some of our commercial graduates into some of the more consumer-facing businesses, but the core of the business being petrochemical manufacturing, that is the heart of INEOS, and that's where we do tend to recruit our graduates into.
Perfect, lovely. And just to finish off with you, Caroline, so we mentioned on your company hub on Gradcracker that you've got your engineering and commercial schemes now live with a closing date of the 10th of November. Yeah. So there's not long. Make sure you go watch this webinar, then go and apply afterwards. Tell the students what they can expect if they join INEOS on either of those schemes.
So in terms of, what I can promise is a lot of variety. You'll hear from Nina and James later. Nina is finished on our commercial programme and James on our engineering programme. We give real responsibility from day one, and I think a lot of employers say that, but we definitely do at INEOS. we give variety. So on the commercial program, you have the opportunity to rotate roles. So we tend to offer you 2 different roles as a minimum, ideally 3, all in different European countries as well. And I think also bringing all the graduates together. So part of being on a graduate program is feeling part of a cohort. And even though we're a very decentralized organisation, we do tend to bring our graduate population together through various corporate events. So we run a year 1 event, a year 3 event, and Namibia, I'm sure we'll talk about quite a lot more in this webinar. The most fantastic challenge that we offer to graduates, incredibly unique. I don't think there's anywhere else that would offer it. Both Nina and James, I'm sure we'll talk through that a lot more later.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Caroline. So we'll come back to Caroline towards the end of the webinar, where she will give hints and tips to you, our STEM students, for putting in your applications. But now what I'm going to do is go meet the grads, basically. So Nina, I'm going to start with you. So all of the grads found their roles on Gradcracker, so they've got some fantastic stories to tell. But Nina, tell me a little bit about you. So where did you study? What did you study? And when did you join INEOS?
Okay, so hi everyone. So my name is Nina. So I come from France and I study there master in material sciences. So I come from a technical background. And what I did is, like, in France, we have the opportunity with some university to basically stay a little bit longer in the university and graduate in 2 different fields. So I choose to do that and to complete my engineering background with some business studies. And after that, I directly joined INEOS. So I joined in 2018 the commercial graduate program at INEOS. I've been there for 5 years now.
Perfect. So I'm guessing that you've actually come off the graduate program now.
I am coming off this month, actually.
This month. Oh, fantastic. Congratulations.
2023, end of the program. So it's been 5 years. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Nina. James, I'm going to come to you. So similar questions. So where did you go to university? What did you study? And how long have you been at INEOS?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is James and I studied mechanical engineering at the University of Liverpool. I joined INEOS in 2019, and as Caroline's already alluded to, I've been on the engineering scheme and I came off that at the beginning of September.
Brilliant. Fantastic. I'm looking forward to hearing about your journey. And Abby, same question.
So hi everyone, I'm Abby. I studied chemistry at Durham University, and I'm a bit more new to INEOS than Nina and James, so I actually started last month. So
I think it's brilliant. I think we're going to have loads of different insights, obviously, about the 2 schemes that INEOS has got, which are advertised on Gradcracker. But Abby, you're going to tell us all about your thoughts and feelings on the application process as well, which we're going to go to at the end of towards the end of the webinar. Can't say webinar. So Jess, on that note, I'm going to hand over to you, and let's hear about the grads.
Let's go for it. Thanks, Carla. So, Nina, I'm going to start with you, if that's okay. Could you tell us what your role at INEOS has been like? I know you've gone through a lot of experiences since you've been here, and what business that you're working for at the moment.
Sure. So I'm currently working for INEOS Olefin and Polymer UK, which is part of what we call the OMP group. So Olefin and Polymer, INEOS Olefin and Polymer is divided in 3 entities. You got the UK side, the north and south. It's just how we divide the market. But this group with these 3 entities is actually the largest olefin producer in Europe. So what we do, we are mainly producing olefin and polymer, which means, like, on the olefin side, we'll be producing ethylene and propylene, and then a wide range of polymers derived from this product. What exactly I'm doing? So I'm working on the polymer side of the business. I am the ONP UK product manager. In the UK, we are producing more than 50 different grades of polyethylene and polypropylene, and my job is basically to manage all of that. Okay. So, for instance, I will have to balance the production with the sales, or to match supply demands, discuss new project strategy of the assets, or also like the sales, managing the portfolio, etc., etc. So everything linked to how we match demand, production, or portfolio, and where we want to grow our business, in which direction we want to do. I think that job is very interesting for different reasons. The first one is that it's so polyvalent. You are the central contact person for all the different teams. So you are making the link between operations, sales, logistic, research development, prod. So it's very polyvalent, and overall a very challenging and interesting position.
I can imagine. So how long have you been in this particular role for then, Nina? Sorry.
So this is the fun fact. So I'm just exiting the program as we already discussed, and I just switched to this role that is going to be my exit role for a few years now in May this year.
Right,
So
fantastic.
a few months ago.
Yeah, you've had 5 years of experience. So we are going to come next to a bit about the different projects that you've had. But it sounds as though, wow, the role that you've got now sounds that you've got a lot of responsibility. You're managing a lot of things. How has INEOS helped you to kind of, build your career to where you are now?
So I think when I first joined the program, so the commercial graduate program, my idea is that when you come out of university, you don't necessarily know what you want to do. I knew I wanted to target industry company. This is why I applied for INEOS, and this is why I applied for graduate program, because they give you the opportunity to switch and rotate around different entities, different teams, or your business units in different across like all countries or different businesses in general. And this is really what I was looking for, because I was trying to look for myself, okay, what would be interesting to develop in. And I think what this program was so helpful is that after 3-4 years, you start having a good idea of what you want, and then you can use the end of the program to really position yourself where will be a good step to exit the program, exactly where you want it to be. And I found that was highly facilitated by the graduate program. So we really have sessions all together discussing, and then it's such a wide company that you will find something you're interested in, and then they can help you position yourself in the best possible way so you can access it.
Yeah, fantastic. Great, Nina. We're going to hear from you a little bit later on about your projects and your rotations that you've been involved in. So thank you very much for that introduction. So James, I'm going to come to you next. Similar kind of question. Can you tell us a bit about your current role at INEOS and the business that you work for?
Yeah, so as I've already said, I've just finished the engineering graduate scheme, and I was a graduate mechanical engineer with a business called INEOS Electrochemical Solutions. And basically what we were involved with is with designing, developing and manufacturing electrolysis technology, as well as the electrode coatings. And so essentially what that means is we make the equipment which is used to produce the chlorine and the caustic soda and other chloralkali products in our INEOS Innovin business. And they are then themselves used in different chemical processes to create products that, as Caroline said, we're interacting with on a daily basis. So INEOS Electrochemical Solutions is a relatively small business. And as I've said, it sits within and supports INEOS Innovin, which itself is Europe's leading vinyls producer with 15 manufacturing sites across 8 different countries. So we've got connections with many of those sites who are operating our technology or who are using our electrode coatings in their electrolyzers to produce chemicals.
So James, then for you in the business that you work in, you'll have a huge variety of different customers that you work for or work with.
Yeah, it's an interesting business in that, as I've mentioned, we do business with other INEOS Innovin sites. We also license our technology and sell that to other companies, other chemical companies around the world as well. So it's quite a unique business, as you say. We've got lots of different customers. I was fortunate very early on. I'd been in the company about 2 months before I got the chance to go to a customer site in Thailand and do some assembly work over there. So I had a couple of trips over there to a customer site where we'd sold one of our bichlor electrolyzers. So I was able to go and get a really great head start in understanding how we do business and how we go about getting these electrolyzers installed, not just in our own sites within INEOS, but also in the sites of other chemical companies.
Wow, it sounds amazing. Again, looking forward to hearing about the rotations and your projects and the experiences so far. But Caroline, just come to you slightly, because we've talked a lot already about the opportunity to travel, the experience that you can get internationally, as well as just in the UK. Is this something for any students that are thinking about, wow, INEOS sounds amazing already? Is this something that you would like to see in an application from a student, them show their interest in travel and the opportunity to work across, the UK as well as internationally?
Yeah, it's a good question, Jessica. So I think if you haven't today, that would never put us off your application. I think for us, and I know we'll come on to the application process shortly, but for the commercial program in particular, you do need to be very mobile. You need to want to move. And we are very clear with people when we speak to them throughout the process that is the expectation for our commercial graduates, that is the premise of the program. But it shouldn't stop anyone applying if they haven't done it to date, because they might not have had an opportunity. And this program delivers that if that is something you're interested in.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Yeah, you might not have had the chance yet, but if that's something that excites you, then absolutely. It just shows you how exciting potentially your career could be within INEOS, not just, like I say, across the UK, but internationally. It's really, really exciting. So, Abby, going to come to you next. Thanks for that, Caroline. Going to come to you next, Abby. Same kind of question. I know you've only just started your experience here at INEOS. Super exciting. But if you could just tell us a little about the current role maybe you've had over the last couple of weeks and the business that you're in, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. So I work for INEOS Acetyls. So we're a relatively new company to INEOS. INEOS only actually acquired the business a couple of years ago. We manufacture 3 chemicals, so acetic acid, acetic anhydride, and ethyl acetate. All very important base chemicals that go into lots of applications, things like polyester, pharmaceuticals, washing powder, the list goes, it really, really does go on and on. So my role, as I am very new, I haven't really got into the flow of things yet, but my role is in sales. Okay. So it will take, a few months for me to really learn the ins and outs of the business before I'm interacting with customers. And as part of that, there will be quite a lot of travel involved. Mainly for me, it will just be based in the UK. I'll be covering more of the UK sales. So yeah, travel within the UK to see the customers, to meet them, to see their sites, so on. But so far, I've just been working on some small projects, trying to learn more. It's been sort of logistics, supply chain, and customer service focused projects that I've been working on so far. And this is my 4th week now, and I've learned so much. It's been so fascinating. On my 2nd week, I was in a meeting with, it wasn't a customer, but it was someone external to INEOS that we were hoping to work with on my 2nd week.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
Abby, you say that you've only been there, 4 weeks. It sounds as though you know exactly what you're doing already. You're very convincing. So well done. Honestly, you said you'd been there 6 months, I would have believed you. So yeah, sounds really, really exciting. In terms of, I think, Callie, we're going to talk a bit, more in detail with Abby about, the application process and your hints and tips. So I know it's hard for you to ask the next question, Abby, so I'm gonna leave you for the next question because you haven't got many rotations or projects that you've worked on. But Nina, I'm going to come to you if that's okay, because if possible, could you tell us a bit about the, like I said, the rotations, the projects, or maybe a favourite project that you've worked on so far at INEOS?
Yes, of course. So I completed my program already. So I completed the 3 rotations that are a part of the typical kind of business model of the the commercial graduate program. So I started in Germany at INEOS Distribution in Frankfurt. They are also producers of polymer. They're specialized in ABS and polystyrene. And there I was mainly focusing on 2 different projects. So the first one was with within the team for the specialized polymer they were putting on the market. I was there to scout the market and do some benchmark and study the trends that could arise that would be interesting for them to position their future development in, because that could bring some more sales or like some more value to the business later on. So it was more about like a look forward in the innovation for this company on this tranche of business. The second one I was in charge of was more for like the standard part of the business, so the commodity they were selling on the market. Basically, there I was more focused on the long-term strategy, so analyzing what we've been doing in the past and where we see our current product curves going, and if everything was fine, and what would be the strategy to, for example, reboost the interest in some grades that have been developed some times ago and were like, for example, stagnating, or they wanted to rebrand on the market. So there was a lot to do there. It was very interesting as well. It was really focus on market demand and how to position the product on the market for them. For my second rotation, so I moved across from Germany to the UK, and I got hired in Innovin. I think James quickly speak about Innovin a little bit earlier. So Innovin is dealing with a wide range of products, but I was part of the PVC polyvinyl part of the business. There, I supported the business manager into analyzing the market, developing a strategy for both the general purpose PVC, but also the bio PVC that they call BioVin. At the time, this bio-based, so bio-naphtha-based PVC was rather new because it was launched 4 years ago. And therefore, there was a lot to do around this new product. For example, like developing the business case around it, branding, marketing, certification. So there was really a lot of project ongoing around this product, and that was incredibly interesting, especially on a sustainability point of view, because it was brand new and one of the first of its kind in Europe. So a very interesting project. And then in October last year, I switched across for my last rotation. I think I explained a little bit before. So once you reach 3-4 years in the program, you start knowing a little bit more what you want to do. So I was targeting more this product manager kind of position because I found them very interesting in the fact that they were touching to so many different areas of the business that sounded like a good place to be. And therefore, I got a job in OMP UK in Scotland as assistant product manager.
Right.
So it sounded to me to be like a good way of getting the experience you needed for maybe a little bit longer in the future, like down the line afterwards. This kind of position. And yeah, this is what happened. So
and here you are.
Wow.
Yeah, and here you are. So it worked out very well.
It sounds it. In terms of your experiences so far, something I feel like when I listen to everyone talk about INEOS and I see the company hub, you've mentioned a couple of things, sustainability being a massive thing, which again I think we're going to talk about a little bit later on, Carla. But it seems to be like a common trend with you all. You've got that passion for sustainability, you've got that drive. And also, I know I'm like throwing out these keywords here, but innovation as well. I always, when you hear everyone's stories, INEOS seems really quite quick to react to things and adapt, change, and do new things. Have you found that, doing your rotations? And is that something that you could say excited you about INEOS, or you have that same feeling as well?
I think there's a lot of project ongoing at INEOS all the time. So I think this industry in general can be seen by the wider audience as an old industry, but we are working at INEOS, we're working very hard on like kind of putting that to an end, because it's not because it's an old industry that first of all you don't need it. We see our product everywhere. You need them still in your everyday life. We see it in we're particularly present in medical or like any kind of daily application will require polymers at now. And that doesn't mean we cannot do innovation. There's a lot we can do. We can be sustainable. We have processes in place that show that we can recycle most of the polymer that we are currently doing. And I think sustainability, especially in the petrochemical industry, has become a number one topic. I've seen through the last 5 years I've been in the company, more and more emphasis put on the sustainability side of the business. So we have an entire sustainability team that have been created in the past few years, so that they can only focus on developing this project, what we can do, what is the best way to go from here. And I think as a graduate, what was extremely interesting is that if you have an interest in sustainability, for example, there is more and more, first of all, positions that are entirely dedicated to sustainability. But even if not, which was never the case for me, but I am interested into it, there is always a possibility for you to join this project, because if you are looking for work, they will give you work. So especially when you are a graduate, I found they always try to facilitate you to get to so that you can take part of one of the project around a certain topic, and then you can learn a bit more there, but also be more and more active and really have a significant input to doing this kind of project.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And that's a great overview. So thanks, Nina. James, I'm going to come to you. If you could tell us a bit about, again, your rotations, your projects, and what you've been involved in so far, if that's okay.
Yeah, so the engineering scheme is slightly different to the commercial scheme, as maybe
Yeah.
the audience has kind of picked up on, where the commercial guys are rotating deliberately as part of the scheme. On the engineering scheme, it tends to be the case that you're kind of fixed to an asset or a particular business area. And the theory behind that really being that you really get to know the technical aspects of the asset or the site that you're working with. So throughout my 4 years, I've worked on a number of projects with the electrochemical solutions business. It's been quite an interesting time. So we were moving our manufacture base over from Sweden to the UK. So there's a brand new greenfield site with a partner company of ours here in the UK now, full of our equipment, but operated sort of on our behalf by this third-party company. And that's now producing all of our new electrolyzer elements. So I've been quite heavily involved in that, designing equipment for that facility, making sure that things are kind of getting up to speed and are commissioned correctly so that we're producing our parts in spec and we're able to get product out and in the hands of customers. I've also been involved on the refurbishment side of the business quite a bit. So as well as producing the new equipment for electrolyzers, we refurbish existing technology, and that's both our own technology but also technology from other producers that we're able to refurbish as well. So we have a refurbishment plant in the northwest of England, and I've been involved supporting that on a number of different projects, most recently helping to create a brand new refurbishment area focused around grinding and welding. So there's been a lot that's gone into that, kind of designing the equipment, making sure that we're procuring the right stuff. There's quite a lot of innovative things that we've tried to install in that new facility, with a focus both on kind of our operational capacity but also on safety, which is another one of our big priorities here at INEOS. I've also had the chance as well to work on kind of product development, so pressure testing of a new prototype technology that we've got that is actually now at pilot scale here on our Runcorn site. And that's something that I was able to get involved with, which is a big part of our future sustainability goals as well. So being able to be involved at that at such an early stage was quite exciting as well, and I really feel like you're kind of laying the groundwork for some really significant future sustainability contribution. So yeah, those have all been great projects. The list goes on and on and on, but hopefully that gives a bit of an overview of what life is like as an engineer.
Snapshot. Yeah, incredible. Kind of mentioning what Caroline said, Caroline, when you joined the webinar earlier, you said about, your role, it's really quite diverse, even within HR, within early careers, you've got lots of things, but it's interesting, isn't it? Again, almost as INEOS as a company, it wants everyone to be diverse. It wants to get you in as many projects as possible. And James, would you say within your experience, have you had that, or did you almost have to instigate that you wanted to know as much as possible, or do you think you are encouraged and kind of pushed a little bit in all the different directions that you can go?
I think it's both, to be honest. I think definitely the company and the structure of the company is set up to give you that exposure, and my experience right the way across the company is that there are managers who are willing and looking for opportunities to give you that exposure to a variety of different projects. And I think the other side of that is that at the same time, INEOS is looking for people with that kind of attitude that is proactive, that is looking for opportunities. So the two things kind of go hand in hand, really. And, we'll maybe come on to that a little bit later in terms of tips for people applying. But INEOS is definitely a company that likes people who are self-starters, who are going to look for those opportunities for themselves, but they're there to be found.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a great bit of advice there, James. So yeah, any students listening, thinking this is the kind of person that obviously Caroline and the team are looking for. So think about that when it comes to putting your application together. And there's lots of great content within the INEOS hub. I had a bit of a snoop before the webinar, and it is a really, really impressive hub. So lots of great content on there. Okay, so Abby, I'm going to come back to you for the next question, because I feel like I've ignored you slightly. So in terms of your future plans, again, I know it's a little bit early for you, what week 4, week 5, but in terms of what's the rest of your graduate scheme looking like, and can you kind of start to create a bit of a plan yet, or can you see a bit of a plan and what maybe where you could be this time next year?
Well, so this time next year, I'll still be in this role because my first placement, I'm based in London currently, like I said, working for Acetiles in a sales role. The length of that placement is 2 years.
Right.
But after that, I will rotate to a new role in a different business, which probably, hopefully, will be abroad. I'll find out closer to the time what or where that will be. And that will be decided by HR based on my developmental needs, I suppose. So that when I do come off the scheme, you know, I mean, this is obviously looking into the future, but in 5 years' time, I'll have had quite a nice, well-rounded experience with 3 fairly contrasting roles, hopefully in different locations. But I suppose, between now and then finishing this role, we have a first-year graduate corporate event, which will be taking place, I think it's September next year. So I'll get to meet all of the other first-year graduates, do some networking. I think there'll be some sort of senior managers there. We'll have some talks. So yeah, really looking forward to that. But I suppose even before that, I'm just continuing to get stuck in. I'm saying yes to everything that's being thrown my way. So like I said, I'm working on a number of small projects right now. They're quite sort of contained and bite-sized, so I can sort of tick them off and try and develop my understanding of not just the business, but how we operate and also who we sell to and the market and so on and so forth. Absolutely. So yeah, as I said, travel is involved. So I get to go to Hull, which is where our site is in the UK. I'll be going there approximately once a month, maybe more. I've been twice already. And I really enjoy visiting. The team are so friendly, and it's really cool actually to see a chemical plant, because I'd never seen one, you know, physically there in front of you before. So yeah, eventually, as I gain experience, I'll be doing a bit more traveling, but I can only really speak for the sort of next 2 years. I don't really know what will be after that, just because it's so soon.
How have you found, Abby, that transition? You know, what does it, you know, to say that you are, I know I keep saying it, but week 4, going into week 5, do you ever, is it a pinch yourself moment yet? Are you sat here thinking, wow, I'm actually here and I'm actually doing this, to where you were this time last year?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, we'll talk about application stuff a bit further on, but I was actually quite late applying to the program.
Okay.
So yeah, this time last year, I think I maybe applied to 1 or 2 grad schemes, but I wasn't taking it very seriously. I was really focusing on my course, to be honest, to be completely transparent. So yeah, it is a little bit of a pinch myself moment. I mean, I moved to London. I'm not originally from London. I moved to London about a month ago. I started on the 11th of September. It all happened so quickly. But yeah, I think that's a good thing. It is sort of, it all happens and then you're straight in and there's lots happening. It's really dynamic place to work. There's always lots going on, lots you can get involved with. And like you say, you do have to have that kind of self-starter energy. You have to put yourself out there, initiate conversations with people, ask what you can do for them. And yeah, just really, really get stuck in. But yeah, I can't.
And you obviously feel like you've got that support, you know, from INEOS already.
Yeah, definitely. So my manager is really supportive. HR have been really great as well. You always know they're just an email or a Teams message away. So the support is definitely there.
Really, really good. Great stuff. Okay, Nina, I'm going to come back to you. Future. And what's your future looking like? Obviously, you've just come off the graduate program. You're now settling now into your kind of new full-time role. Where can you see your career ending up at INEOS? Yeah. I hope it won't ever end at INEOS. You'll stay there for your career. But, you know, what's the next 5 years looking like for you now you've come off the scheme?
Yeah, so I think the big difference now is like once you're out of the program, well, you're not left all by yourself, but like you will not have like this kind of regular rotation every 2 years, which I think was like, it was great because like every 2 years means you got something new to do, a new challenge. And then now what's next? So I already said it before, but like I'm extremely pleased where I ended up because this is exactly what I wanted to do. I think this is also such a diverse role that it would take me some time to get used to everything. And once this is like, you know, okay, I get how everything is going and working all together, then it takes also like a bit of time to make it your own and put your own, I say like signature into the role, kind of put your input in the company. So
Yeah.
to be honest, where I'm forcing myself now is like I would like to do my best in this position that was given to me now, because I think it's really a good step in my career, and I think it would take me a few years to achieve what I want to achieve in this position. But I also think that this kind of role is perfect for like moving forward in the company as well. So it's really like a bump up role that will allow you to discover so many different business units inside the company and how all of them are working together, that you are after that you should be able to have a better overview of how the industry itself is working, and therefore position yourself in other position. Maybe it can be anything really. It's so diverse. Like I don't have a real target for it because I also just started in May. So my target number one was this one. Now it's a key, and I know what I want to do for the next few years. And then toward the end of it, I think I will have a new idea then of, okay, now it's good. What's next?
Yeah. And do you know what the exciting thing could be? You know, again, as an outsider listening, you could potentially have like 5-6 different careers at INEOS. We know, completely different companies, completely different teams, different places across the world.
I think it's something that's very true, is because this is such a big group and all the different businesses are doing products that are so different, or like proposing a service that is so different in so many different countries and regions and whatsoever, that it's very often actually you find another colleagues from a completely different business working with you in another business, because there is no boundary. You can just cross, and there's like a very good communication of what's happening in all the different entity. And sometimes we got like some get together project as well with other region, or like summit or like working event where you can actually network and develop your network and stay on top of what's happening where, and what are like the development program in all the different entities. So I think it's moving so quickly as well that you really have to see, once you reach a point where you're like, okay, I'm ready to tackle something new. Okay, what's available and how can I facilitate that? And I think this is something that we can really do in this company, and that I really like, because it's such a big group. So endless possibilities.
So exciting. Caroline, I'm going to chuck you a bit of a curveball question, if that's all right.
Yes, I'm ready.
No, because there are so many different businesses within INEOS. How do you keep the culture? You know, how do you keep, you know, everyone pulling in the same direction in a sense of who you are as INEOS and, you know, what you want to achieve overall and everything else? How do you do it?
That's a very, very good question. So, and I don't think we touched upon this. So there's 3 words that if I would ask anyone at INEOS, what, you know, how could we sum up our attitude? We talk about grit, rigor, and humor. Okay. And when you look at INEOS and the companies that we buy and the things we do, whether it's some of the sporting challenges or whether it's some of the, you know, the Project One, the crackers that we're, you know, setting up, it is that tenacity and doing things, the grit, doing things that other people shy away from. I think that's one thing you see across all businesses, the rigor and approach in everything. You know, we really do things properly. And from a humour perspective, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We appreciate people are at the heart of it. So I think those 3 words, if you go into any company and, you know, you speak to graduates or you speak to the CEOs or the board, you really see that throughout. So I think it's a very good question, because you know, you listen to us and you think 36 different companies, how on earth can it all fit INEOS? But it really, really does. And I think, you know, the graduates that are going in and out of the businesses, naturally, they're going to have a slightly different feel. They're run by their own boards. They do very different things, but you definitely have that thread of that DNA thread throughout all businesses of INEOS.
Do you know what? I like those 3 words.
I was thinking that as well.
Do you know what I mean? I think just those 3 words in itself kind of give an idea of what INEOS is about. You know, because sometimes you can get those kind of 3 cliche words. And you think, is that really you, or is that just a veneer of what you want to be? But they're really quite interesting words as well. I really, really like that. And hopefully, Nina, James, and Nabi, you can agree that I'm getting 3 nodding heads, which is good.
You've got them.
That those words are something that you feel as well, you know, even in your own businesses, that, you know, there is that kind of running theme, which is great.
And also, Jessica, just in terms of, I know we'll come on to the INNAM program. I mean, that for me is grit, it's rigor, and it's humour. I know that you and James will talk through it, but even the projects we've done that we do when we give graduates the opportunity. I mean, that program is grit, rigor, and humour all over.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, let's go to that. James, I'll come to you. So, the Namibian, I've been practicing the word Namibian, believe it or not. I don't know why. The word just doesn't want to come out my mouth right. So I'm going to say it the once and I'll let you do it after that. Tell us a bit about the challenge. Tell us why it is so unique to INEOS. And oh my gosh, start from the top. Tell us everything.
Yeah, so I mean, the start of the answer lies in what Caroline was saying, definitely about grit, rigor, and humour. For those who don't know, who are watching the webinar, basically the kind of summit of the Namibia challenge that INEOS runs with its graduates is a trip into the Namib Desert. We run, cycle, and hike over 300 kilometers across 6 days. It includes a marathon in the desert. It includes climbing Namibia's tallest mountain. It is, on the face of it, absolutely bonkers. I think the best way to sort of outline my experience and perception of it is that you sign yourself up to run and cycle distances which in most cases, most of the graduates haven't done before, and you sign up to do it in conditions which you've never ran or cycled in before, but you commit to do it regardless of your ability, with that determination that Caroline's already alluded to, and also with a smile on your face. And it's never a race. It's purely a lesson in understanding what you can be truly capable of when you adjust your mindset and when you apply those principles of grit, rigor, and humour. And I think that lesson is just so important when working for INEOS, because as we've already kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, if you're the type of person who will get on board with that approach, then you'll find INEOS to be an incredibly rewarding and enjoyable place to be on a daily basis, whether that's in engineering or in commercial roles. For me personally, the highlight was the marathon, because it was a great moment of just feeling that all the training had kind of come together. And it actually, I know it doesn't maybe sound like it should have been enjoyable, but I promise you it was enjoyable. It was just the most surreal experience of feeling all that hard work come together, being with a great group of people. And I think the group of people is important as well, because there's a real chemistry there. As we've discussed, there's graduates coming from all over the world, from all different INEOS businesses, but gathered around those kind of central philosophies, willing to work together as a team. And it's just a really great thing to see all that come together, not just in the desert, but also in the way that we helped each other prepare for a year beforehand. And we'll come on, I think, in a moment to talk a little bit about preparation, but it was evident right the way through the whole year-long INNAM program that there was this teamwork and that there was this willingness to put that smile on our faces and help each other through it. And it teaches you so much about who INEOS are as a company, and it definitely gives you a lot of skills and insight into how you should be working day to day in your sort of normal day-to-day role. Wow.
So just to go back a step then. So is this something you sign up for? Does everyone have to do it? Is it go back? So you're in your second year then, typically?
Third year. Yep. So
you apply though, when do you start like preparing?
Yeah, so the year 3 event that we've mentioned already, that takes place. It's another opportunity where all the graduates get together, and it's at that year 3 event that the program is kind of launched for the year. Everyone across the company gets the opportunity to do it. It's not a forced thing. You don't have to do it. It's pure choice. But you'll find that the vast majority of people want to go for it, because those are the types of people who've ultimately been hired and found their way into INEOS. So yeah, it's at that point that you really, start putting in the hard work. And just under a year later, you find yourself in the desert wondering how on earth you got there, really.
What the hell are you doing? In terms of them preparing, because when I did the webinar last year, when I was speaking to the grads then, they were saying in terms of preparation, you got to also then go to other countries to do a bit of preparation in terms of running in that heat and everything else. So was that your similar kind of experience as well?
Yeah, definitely. So we got to go to Lanzarote in December. So we did kind of like a warm weather training camp out in Lanzarote. It was, for a lot of people, the first marathon we did was out in Lanzarote. We had a really hot day for it, which was not particularly welcome, but it was a great lesson. So we had the chance to go out, and we spent a few days out there, which was really great preparation, kind of getting familiar with the terrain and the climate and things like that. We also then had kind of regional weekend away type activities. So we had a UK one, we had graduates from Grangemouth in Scotland, from Runcorn, and from London as well, in England, all gathered in Scotland. We went and we ran together, we cycled together, we climbed up Ben Lomond, which was great fun. And then after that, just about 2 weeks after that, I think it was, we did the Barcelona Marathon as well, which was all the European graduates. So some really great kind of checkpoint activities, which you definitely take a lot of learning from, and they just help keep you on the right track, I think. Yeah, as has already kind of been mentioned, the opportunity to network and to build those relationships with other graduates in your cohort is really second to none through those events.
Yeah, and I can imagine they're, relationships, friendships that you're going to build and probably have for the rest of your life now, because that's, once in a lifetime experiences that, you've all pulled together to achieve what you've achieved. You're gonna, I can imagine, be friends with that group forever now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got a Teams message from a colleague from a completely different INEOS business about a week ago, saying that she was down in our neck of the woods in November, asking whether we wanted to meet up, and we'll probably end up going for a bike ride or something like that. So yeah, those relationships definitely outlast the program. They're a really great thing.
And James, was you that way inclined before in terms of, your fitness and bike riding, running, marathons before INEOS? Is that the kind of thing you'd do on a weekend?
No. I was into my sport, but the kind of longer cardio type stuff that is quite synonymous with INEOS really wasn't my bag particularly. So when I signed up for the program, it was definitely kind of a change for me. I ran my first half marathon just over a year ago after signing up for the program, and then, as I say, my first marathon was Lanzarote. I think the great thing about the program is there's people coming from so many different backgrounds. You've got people who are, of course, good runners before they sign up. You've got some people who've never done sport throughout, their whole kind of youth really, and everything in between. And it really is just about the way that you approach that, both as individuals and as a group. So I'd definitely say to anyone who ends up in INEOS on the graduate program, regardless of ability, go for it. And, in my experience of just doing it this year, every single person who signed up for it finished every kilometre in the desert. So there's a pretty high success rate of people getting through it.
Wow, that's just, brilliant. Again, all matched up your 3 words, doesn't it? And I think that's what really makes your grad program stand out, pulling everyone together and that grit, determination. Sorry, what was it? Grit?
Rigor and humour.
There you are. That needs to be the title of this webinar.
I think it's going to be, Jess.
I think it should be. Sorry, Nina. I'm conscious that we need to come back to Carla because there's lots of things that we want to ask you as well. But Nina, just quickly, do you want to add anything to, because you've done the experience as well? Is there anything that you want to add to that?
I can only back up what James just said, to be fair. So I think he expressed very well what this challenge is about. It's like, I think the main point that we need to emphasize, like, everybody can do it. So not to be scared of it. I know, like, for example, when it was autumn to subscribe, and then they presented like some people that did the previous years, it was like many very, very sporty males that just went to this and said, yeah, it was fantastic. And you're like, yeah, I do not believe you. And then in the end, you're just like, you know what, let's do it as a group anyway. And honestly, if you are training properly, I think preparation is very important. But if you are sticking to it, anybody can do it. You can just do it at your own pace. And once you complete it, you just really feel that you have done something absolutely amazing. So that was a fantastic adventure.
Well done, both of you. Amazing. Yeah, to be honest, I'm a bit jealous of you now, knowing that this is what we'll be doing in the next few years. So you best get your running shoes out, love.
I know. People have mentioned it already. It's like, oh, have you started your prep yet?
This weekend, Abby, just started this weekend and you'll be fine.
Well,
I think we've definitely inspired students to apply to your fantastic opportunities. So Abby, I want to spend a little bit more time with you now about the whole recruitment process. But first, I'm going to go to you, Caroline. Could you talk through the recruitment process and what students should expect?
Yeah. So the process, I would say, and Abby hopefully will confirm this. So we run a very personable process. So I mean, we get quite a number of applicants, but we have a team that are very passionate about being graduates in, and we review every applicant. And generally, the process is very quick. So we do have, again, the rigor. We have quite a few stages from initial application, so that will be from the Gradcracker website. We've got jobs live, the commercial scheme and the engineering program in Grangemouth, they're live at the moment. So it'll be an initial application. The next stage, we ask you what we call them PSQs, pre-screening questions. So we ask you a number of questions and we get you to write into us. And then, providing we want to progress you, we would run an assessment centre. Sometimes they will be virtual, sometimes they'll be face-to-face. So it's generally a half day with other candidates. A number of activities from interview to some presentations. We're asking you to prepare some in advance and present it to our functional experts. So this is HR, but also the business. Then the final stage is a final face-to-face interviews for the commercial programme, generally in London or in Switzerland. So we'd never offer to anyone without meeting them face-to-face and spending the day with them. Yeah. But I would say from kind of start to finish, it is not a long process. And that we get, we ask for feedback. We're always keen to hear how people are finding their interaction with INEOS. Is generally that they find it very personable. They've always got a point of contact. It's not a robot kind of sifting through CVs, and that's very important to us. So I guess that's in terms of the process. Carla, does that cover everything?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, thank you, Caroline. And I think, Abby, this is your kind of time to shine, as it were. So tell everybody about your experiences. So experience of the recruitment process and any kind of top tips that you would give students thinking of applying.
Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned, I applied last year during the final year of my degree, so it is very, very fresh for me.
Yeah.
I mean, like most grads, I did apply for a few other roles, you know, to maximise chances because it is super competitive out there. So I experienced a few other processes and methods of recruitment during that time. But what really stood out to me about INEOS was that there were no psychometric tests or these pre-recorded video interviews at any stage of the process. Because to be completely honest, for me, I always found that they were more based on look, I suppose, rather than ability. And they just felt quite impersonal, maybe a little bit unfair even. Instead, as Caroline mentioned, the INEOS recruitment process was highly personable. So I was given a HR contact from the very beginning who I could email with questions, or we would have prep calls before the assessment centre, before the final interview, just to run through any questions. You know, if I was to email a question, it would be answered, you know, within 24 hours. It was very, very fast and makes you feel quite valued and more than just a number or just a random applicant, which is very impressive for such a large company. And for me, it really did paint quite a positive picture. And then something else that I wanted to highlight was that, this is speaking from personal experience here, they allowed a certain degree of flexibility during the interview process, and well, not just the interview process, the application process. So I was actually away on holiday the week before my assessment centre, and I needed to prepare some PowerPoint slides. But unfortunately, I wasn't going to be able to submit these slides because I was away on holiday. I didn't have a laptop with me. I had no way of creating them, really. All I had was my phone. So I thought I'd missed the deadline. I was quite annoyed because, you know, I got quite far through the process. It was looking really good. I'd really enjoyed my interactions so far. So yeah, I was quite frustrated because I thought it was going to rule me out. But no, I just got in touch with my HR contact, and she extended my deadline, so I was able to submit the slides a little bit later and then go to the assessment centre. And yeah, I got through. But yeah, so I suppose just to summarize, communication was extremely efficient. Like I say, questions were answered within 24 hours. Outcomes as well were communicated very quickly. For me, it was usually no more than a week after you'd done the interview or the assessment centre. And in the final stages, the outcomes were communicated by phone, which I quite liked. That was quite personable. Obviously, it's nice to speak to someone, and it paints, like I say, a really positive picture of the business, because applying for a job is a two-way thing. You need to make sure that the company is the right fit for you, because the recruitment process is usually indicative of how things work on the inside. And I've definitely found that to be the case. It's fast-paced, efficient, very people-focused. And yeah, so from start to finish, for me, the whole process was about 2 months long, which
it's really quick then.
Really quite quick when you consider that there are, quite a few different stages. So yeah, just to summarize, I was very impressed.
Perfect. Oh, well done, Caroline and Caroline's team. That's great. Shout out to you. And I love the personal approach. So any words of wisdom then, Abby, from people applying to INEOS? What would you suggest?
So I'd say the commercial interviews can definitely be quite rigorous. I mean, I had no commercial experience. I'd done an integrated master's in chemistry, but I'd never studied any business modules or anything like that. So obviously come prepared, do your research, but they don't expect you to be an expert on all of the commercial topics. I mean, they expect a base knowledge, but they don't expect, you to necessarily know all of the answers to the questions. So that being said, my advice would be that it's okay to ask for maybe clarification or to think out loud in the interviews. This is at sort of later stages when the questions are getting more complex. Maybe even occasionally to say, I'm not 100% sure, but giving it a really good go. This is what I'm thinking. Talk through your logic, really think out loud. And then the interviews might aid you by drip feeding a bit more information, just to see how you react to it, really. Speaking from my experience, the interviews at the final stages and the assessment centre, they weren't formulaic. They will help you through it. If you're struggling, they might go a little bit off script, perhaps, to chat about a current initiative that they're involved with, or something that they feel is important or relevant. So it sort of turns into a bit more of a conversation. So yes, you need to have the base knowledge, but you don't need to be a commercial expert. They want to see your logic and your decision making happening in real time, especially when they're giving you new information. So my advice would be stay calm, be logical, and just give it a really good go, because you know more than you think.
Yeah, I think everybody wants you to succeed, Abby, don't they, at the end of the day? So it's a two-way thing. So ask questions, and if you do feel a little bit nervous, don't be afraid to say I'm a little bit apprehensive, and then they will talk you through the situations and hopefully make you feel more at ease. So, well, congratulations, Abby, you got through the whole process. So well done you. You've done a brilliant job. What we're going to do now is finish on some quick fire rounds. So Nina, I'm going to come back to you. What is your favourite thing? I can't believe you can just say one thing, but what is your favourite thing about working at INEOS?
I think we touched that quite quickly already, but I think what made it for me was the people in the company. The reason being, I think Caroline mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, but basically a few years ago, INEOS was the biggest company no one had ever heard of. And when I applied, I have never heard of this company before. I just constantly find it on a career fair that my university was organizing, and this is how we started speaking. And I was like, okay, yeah, well, let's just apply and see how it goes. And what I did really appreciate is that they make you, for all the assessment and through the entire recruitment process, they make you come and have the interview face to face, and you also interact with the other people that are also like trying to get into the job. And what I figured out is like everybody I was interacting with in this company were kind of the same wavelength, and I found them very interesting, very nice in general, very performant as well. And I was like, I think this is what made it for me, because as you
Yeah.
say, you apply for like a lot of different companies, and at the end, when you got all your possibilities, and what was really like tilting it, was for me was like, I liked every single person I've met in this company.
Oh,
So that means I might be a good fit for that. And the fact that we can come and meet the people in person during all this recruitment process, and later on people are also very accessible at all time, really made it for me. So that
perfect.
was my favorite factor.
Good. Thank you very much, Nina. James, what would you say would be your favourite thing about INEOS?
For me, it's just being in a company whose values genuinely align with my own, the way that I like to work, the way that
Yeah.
I'm driven, and that kind of performance orientated approach to things. And I think that brings a real sense of fulfillment. I think it's easy when you're kind of starting out your career and you're looking for jobs to prioritize the wrong things in a company. And having been working now for over 4 years, I'd say the most important thing, probably up there, it maybe just second to what Nina said about people, but it's about being in a company where you feel that your values are in line with the company, and it's a really great thing when you find that.
Yeah, and the challenge. I want somebody to say the challenge. Abby, what's your favourite thing?
I was hoping to say the people as well, but
You can say the
I
people. You all
also,
sound lovely.
yeah, everyone is so lovely, so chatty. There's always lots of, oh, good morning, in the
Yeah.
lift, things like that. It's really, really great place to work. But I'd also say I've enjoyed visiting the site. So seeing the plant, seeing the R&D facilities, meeting the team up there, because the scale is absolutely huge. It's very difficult to comprehend if you've not seen it. One tanker is, road tanker is 25 tons, and then the amounts that we produce each year. I find it really, really fascinating. And obviously, these are things that are sort of crucial to society as we know it. So that's another reason it is quite a fulfilling job when the things that we're dealing with go into pharmaceuticals, clothes, things that we can't really survive with as life as we know it.
Life changing. I know exactly where the site is, Abby, as well, because I just live on the outskirts of Hull, and it is mind blowing. Do you know, when you go past it, it takes your breath away, doesn't it? So
yeah, the first time I went, I was just like looking out the window of the taxi.
Now that is a surreal moment going past that. Yes. Caroline, what would you say from your angle? What was your favourite part of INEOS?
I think the philosophy of INEOS, taking off the mental breaks, whether it's kind of the opportunities we give people or if it's what we do on a day-to-day basis. So I think being part of an organisation that does things that a lot of other people and companies don't want to do, that for me, I really enjoy that, and I love seeing where INEOS is heading next and what we're all going to be part of. It's exciting.
It's ever changed, isn't it? Perfect. Well, thank you all for joining us today. It's been amazing. Again, it's been a brilliant webinar with INEOS. So don't forget some of the key dates that Caroline mentioned. The closing their opportunities on the 10th of November, so not long now. And I just mentioned earlier in the webinar as well, make sure you go onto the INEOS hub on Gradcracker to do your research. There's lots and lots of content on there, from people profiles to videos, and obviously this webinar will be live on there from this afternoon, and we'll also break the webinar down into bite-sized chunks, which will be on the INEOS hub on Gradcracker and also in the Career Centre. So good luck, everybody, when you're putting your applications in, and don't rush them, but make sure you do your research and apply to INEOS as and when you can. Me and Jess are joined by Siemens next Thursday, so we'll look forward to seeing you then. Don't forget to register your interest. But for now, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Good luck, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you later, guys. Bye. Bye.